Right, welcome back guys. Now I've been noticing that on the IG Discord group a lot of people are asking about kind of help, just for doing these 15-mark questions. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to make a video covering all of the past 15-mark questions basically. Now if you go to the site here, you can click on this exam questions, and here it will just give you the starter code, as well as the question paper, also the mark scheme, for each of these questions. So if we just look here at the first one, this is what, 2023, October, November. So, kind of the most recent one. Other than the March, which is kind of not publicly available yet. But anyway, so what we can do, basically, we can just copy this code, right, or just click open in code editor. And yeah, I'm just going to close it because I've done that already. And then this is kind of like the starter code that Cambridge says they've already declared. So, we don't actually have to declare this. But yeah, this is provided, just so you can kind of directly start typing your actual answer here. So I guess first, let's actually just try and read the question. Right, so here then it says, drama students put on a performance of a play for one evening. Seats in a small theatre can be booked for the performance. Right, the theatre has 10 rows of 20 seats, and the status of the seat bookings for the evening are held in the two-dimensional Boolean array called evening. Each element contains false if the seat is available and true if the seat is booked. Right, up to and including 4 seats can be booked at one time, and seats are allocated in order from those available. Right, a row or seat number cannot be requested. This is quite important here, right? Because this will affect our implementation. What this is saying then is that, like, if 10 seats are taken, well then the next seat we need is going to be 11, right? Then of course the next one 12, the next one 13. We can't choose where to sit. Right, okay, then it says the array evening has already been set up and some data has been stored. So I guess this means some people have already made a booking. Right, what we want then? We want a program that meets the following requirements. It will count and output the number of seats already booked for the evening. Right, it's also going to allow the user to input the number of seats required. Right, then it will validate the input. Right, it's also, so when it says validate, that just means check that it's between 1 and 4. Right, between 1 and 4 seats are booked. Right, then it will check if there's enough seats available, and if there are, it will change the status of those seats, so change them to true. It will also output the row number and seat number for each seat booked. However, if they're not available, then it's going to output a message giving the number of seats left, right, or house full if the theatre is fully booked. Right, and here it says, you can use pseudocode or program code, and you have to add comments to explain how your code works. Right, you do not need to declare any arrays or variables. You may assume this has already been done. Now, when it says this, this just means you don't have to declare, evening, because this has been set up. But any of your own variables you will have to declare, and you will have to assign them values. Right, and then it also says you do not have to initialize the data in the array evening, because I guess there's already bookings, right? That's been done already. And then so all inputs and outputs must contain suitable messages. Right, so I think what I'm going to do, I'm just going to open this here. In fact, let me just close this. Right, so let me make this full screen. So I think what I might do first, I think I might just have a menu. Alright, so something like this here. So let's give them a choice to make a booking. Alright, also see the number of bookings, and then finally exit. And I think maybe I'll actually just delete this one, to be honest. I'll just have make booking and exit. So in order to make a menu, we're going to need either a character or we can have an integer variable. But I think, probably I'm just going to have character because I'll just use the characters, B or E. Or in fact, let's go integer, right? I think it's easier. Right, let's go menu choice, and let's say this is going to be of type integer. And then what we'll do, we'll just go repeat until. And probably in here, And now, all right, let's say if you're in the exam, okay, you probably want to give yourself some space because, you know, maybe you forget to declare some stuff. All right, so yeah, I'm just going to give myself some space for, you know, when I need to go back and declare some variables. Right, so let's say here we can just go output, and let's say, I don't know, I mean, if we want, we can give it some heading like this, maybe theatre booking app. Although honestly, in the exam, you know, you don't really need this, right? And then I mean, here I'm just going to go /n. The only reason I do that is because, well, I want the whole message to display in one go. Now, I mean, in the exam, you can just have another output like this. However, the problem is, well, the way the site works is that it only outputs the sort of most recent message, and you know, it only kind of gives that like on the input prompt. And I mean, the reason for that is because, well, otherwise there's no way to specify, you know, which particular output message you want for the input prompt. Yeah, so right, I mean, basically what I'm going to do, I'm just going to sort of do it a bit ugly, but yeah, keep everything all on one line, or yeah, as part of one output statement. So let's say 1 can be make booking, and let's go another /n, right, so /n just means new line. And then we'll say 2, this can, well, just be exit. Right, then we'll just go input, and yeah, we're going to input into menu choice, and we're going to keep doing this until menu choice, and until that equals 2. All right, because, well, when it equals 2, that's when they've chosen exit. Now, I think inside here, let's also have an if statement, so we'll just go if menu choice equals 1. And yeah, then let's just end if like this. So basically here, this will be the code, you know, for them to make a booking. Now, if we actually look at this, and I think there is actually one thing I have forgot, right? So if we go back here to the document, it does say there's already been some data stored. Now, to me, this is a bit ambiguous, but I think, while looking at the mark scheme, you know, what they want us to do is they want you to loop through the array and basically count up how many seats have already been booked. And to be honest, you know, I do find that a bit confusing because, I mean, I suppose, yeah, they do say here already booked, but it doesn't particularly make clear, like, already booked, you know, the first time the program has been run, yeah, or already booked, you know, after they've kind of made bookings here. But yeah, I think this just wants us to count up, you know, kind of from the start. So let's say here, maybe we can say, yeah, I mean, like, maybe num seats booked. And then right here, I mean, let's just assign this. So this num seats booked, okay, this will start at 0. And then what we want to do, well, we just want to loop through all of these rows and columns. And yeah, basically just check, you know, when they're true. Now, for this test, I'll probably just, set 1 or 2 to be true, you know, just so we can actually see this. Yeah, I mean, let's say 4 have been booked already. Right, so, I mean, here then we just need to loop through a 2D array. Now, yeah, we just want to loop through like this, okay, just rows and columns. So let's say here row, that's going to start at 1, and then we go, well, to the number of rows, which is this. And I mean, you know, I might just maybe, yeah, I might just change this, hang on. Let's call this num rows, just to kind of differentiate it a little bit. And let's say here, this can be num columns. Okay, right, that should be fine. Right, okay, so yeah, here we're going to loop until num rows, then we're going to loop, well, for column equals 1 to the number of columns. Right, and then what we want to do, well, we just want to check if this particular seat equals true. So here we just go evening, this is going to be row and then column, right, this is the index, and we just check if that equals true. Right, then if it is equal true, if it is equal true, here we just increment the number of seats already booked. And in order to increment, well, we just go, yeah, number of seats booked, and then assign number of seats booked plus 1. and then make sure here just go next column, right, and then we also go next row, just like this. Now, the good thing with the site is, of course, we can actually test this. So let's say number of seats booked, and probably, like I said, let's give it an output message already. So we can just say, I don't know, yeah, seats booked, or yeah, I know, seats already booked. And then let's just, yeah, go something like that. All right, so hopefully this works. Yeah, okay, so here it says seats already booked, and let's just try make booking. Right, so currently nothing happens, and then if we go exit, and yeah, we see exit, right, this exits the program. Okay, so this is working quite nicely. I mean, now of course we just need to do the most difficult thing, which is going to be well, kind of making a booking. And yeah, I'm just going to go back here just to check what they want us to do. Right, so first then it's going to ask, well, we need to ask the user to enter the number of seats, and we're just going to validate this. Now, yeah, this one is actually not too difficult. So let's say here maybe num seats, yeah, to book or something. Or we could call it, yeah, number of seat, I don't know, yeah, like num to book. I guess it doesn't really matter. Right, so what we're going to do, let's go output. And in fact, we can probably, I mean, again, we can put this in a repeat until, right? We could also put it in a, while. Yeah, I mean, all right, maybe here, let's put it in a while loop, just to be different. Although, to be honest here, I would probably say a repeat until is better. Because, yeah, you always want to do this at least one time, right? So, yeah, let's actually do a repeat until. And the condition here, well, it's going to be, yeah, num seats to book. And this should be, what, greater than or equal to 1, right? And it should also be, right, should also be less than or equal to 4, just like this. And then let's output, let's say, yeah, enter number of seats to book. All right, and then we'll just input this into num seats to book. And then, yeah, let's just output this, again, just to test it. But, yeah, this should work. Right, so here we want to choose make booking, enter number of seats to book. Well, let's say 0. Right, yeah, that's going to ask again. All right, let's say 5. Okay, it's going to ask again. Let's say 4. And yeah, okay, you see 4 is then going to accept. And then it's going to ask us to make another booking. But yeah, let's just stop that. Right, so I think that's okay. So yeah, I mean, I think we've done the first 3 parts. Now we just want to check if there's enough seats available. And if you think about this, I mean, here, well, the number of seats is just going to be the rows multiplied by the column. So maybe here, we can just go total seats, and we can actually make this a constant if we want as well. Although the thing with making it a constant, I mean, let's just do it here. Let's go total seats, or yeah, total seats available. I mean, ideally we would go something like, for example, we can do, next rows multiplied by next columns. And for the site, this will actually work, I think. However, Cambridge, they say that we shouldn't actually use kind of calculations for constants. They actually want us to hard code it. All right, so yeah, we can actually hard code this as 200. Because again, if we got 10 rows and 20 columns, right, that means there's going to be, yeah, 200 seats. And yeah, I'll make that as a constant, right, rather than a variable. So I think basically what we want to do, well, we just want to check if the number of seats already booked plus the number of seats they've chosen is greater, well, I mean, let's check if it's less than, right? If it's less than the total seats available, then it means there's enough seats available, right? Else it means, well, there's not enough seats available. Because, for example, let's say if the number of seats booked is, 198, right? If they then want to book 4 seats, well, if we're then checking it's less than 200, because again the total seats available is 200, of course this is going to be false, right? Which means, well, basically they're not able to make a booking. So yeah, this will be the condition that we're going to check. And I mean, let's go back, like in this case, will it let us book 2 seats and then just say, sort of like full up, or will it just Yeah, I think here it doesn't really specify. Right, I mean, I think here we can probably just do it like this. So we'll just have an if statement, and yeah, we'll just kind of check if there's enough seats available, and if there is, we'll let them book it. If not, then yeah, they won't be able to book any of them, and we'll tell them to book less, kind of a smaller number. Right, so the way we can check that then, what did we call it? So I think we said number of seats booked, or is that? Yeah, okay, so number of seats booked, this is how many they've already booked. Then we want to say plus the number of seats to book, right, so this is their current booking. And we just want to check if that is bigger than the total seats available. Or in fact, well, let's check if it's less than, right, and I guess less than or equal to, that should be fine. And then if it is, well, then it's going to be okay. And then let's have an else, just have an end if. And here let's just output a message, like not enough seats available. Alright, let's say can't book. And then we want to say num seats to book. Oh yeah, let's scroll down. And then we'll say something like only. Right, and then what's this calculation? This will be, this will be the total seats available minus the num seats booked, right? Because again, if this is 200, this is 198, right? This will say only 2 seats available. Right, okay. I mean, I'm not going to test this, all right, but yeah, I think that should work. And then if we go here, well, basically now we just want to loop through and we want to calculate the position of where to book. And I mean, this is the most complex thing. Yeah, let me just check. Yeah, okay, so right, I think that's all we need to do. Right, it also says house full if the theatre is fully booked. Okay, so I guess here they want 2 conditions. Right, so I guess here let's have another if. So here we can go num seats booked, and if this is equal to the total seats available, right, then we're going to output house full. Right, else we're going to output, can't book 4 seats because only 2 available. Alright, so I think that's fine. Right, and then this one, I mean, this is quite complex, so I have actually got it here in, WPS. Now, often if you have a grid, and this can be here for the seat numbers, right, it can also be for things like games, let's say, noughts and crosses, battleships, right, minesweepers. You often have a situation where you have a number, like let's say the cell number, and then you want to calculate the row and column from that cell number. Now the way we can do that is by using a combination of let's say modulus and div, right, integer division. Because for example, let's say here we choose 10. Well, if we think about this, if we do 10 divided by 4, and the reason we say 4 is because basically there's 4 seats per row. So if we do 10 divided by 4, well, that's going to be 2, right? So this means like there's already been 2 rows that are fully full. And then if we do 10 mod 2, right, that's going to be 2. So basically that's saying, well, 2 rows are already full, and then we want to go to kind of the second row in this column. So I mean, if I try to just demonstrate this with the actual function, and I will actually show you other ways to do this, like just using an if statement, I think just using simple like multiplication and subtraction as well. But yeah, Cambridge, the way they do it in the mark scheme is using div and mod. Alright, although yeah, if you do have another method that works, that's also okay. So let's say here the seat number is 1. Now if we think, well, 1 mod 4 is going to be 1, okay, so that's going to be the correct column. If we have 2 mod 4, okay, that's also column 2, that's correct. 3 mod 4, column 3, that's correct. But the problem here, if we have 4 mod 4, well, this is going to be incorrect. Because yeah, 4 mod 4 is going to say 0. I mean, we can actually do this here. So I think here they call it quotient. But yeah, this is just mod. Okay, sorry, okay, it's not quotient. Right, okay, yeah, this one is mod. I think quotient is what they call div. Okay, right, so this one is going to be mod, and then what we want to mod is going to be the seat number, and then we're modding it by, well, the number of seats per row. And again, this works for 2, it works for 3, but then when we get to 4, right, this is where it goes to 0. Now, the way we can fix this, if we just go +1, okay, this nearly fixes it. So for example, if we go to 1, well, it says 2, so this is nearly correct. Then 2 it says 3, right, 3 it says 4, and right, 4 it says 1. So maybe you can see, but all of them, they're just shifted 1 to the right, okay, because it's saying kind of booking number 1 should be in seat 2, or column 2. Booking number 2 should be in column 3, right? So everything is shifted 1 to the right. Now the way we can fix that is if we just have a -1 here. And then, for example, if we go 1, where it says column 1, right, 2 says column 2, 3 says column 3, and 4 says column 4, okay, which is correct. And now if we go for 5, okay, it says back to column 1. And of course we can try 8, right, yeah, 8 is going to be column 4. Okay, so you can see this is working. Now, similarly, we can actually just do the same. So if we just go quotient, and quotient just means div, okay, it's, div in, IGCSE syllabus. So here it's going to be the same. It's going to be this one -1. Then we divide it by this. Okay, hang on. Alright, and well then if we just go +1 out here, okay, and this should work. So again, let's just try this. It's saying, well, seat 1 is going to be row 1, column 1. If we try 4, okay, row 1, column 4. Let's try 8, okay, row 2, column 4. Alright, so yeah, basically this is working correctly. Now what we need to do, we just need to implement this here. Alright, and to be honest, I think actually Cambridge, they actually made a mistake in the mark scheme, because they actually don't have the +1, they also don't have the -1. So, honestly, I think their code is actually not going to work. Now, if they were using 0-based arrays, their code would work, but because we're using 1-based arrays, right, that's why we need this weird +1 and then also the -1 here. But I noticed, for example, when they loop, for like row to column, right, they're starting the loop at 1, right, which means obviously they're using 1-based arrays. So yeah, I think honestly their code, it just wouldn't work for this. But anyway, let's see if we can actually get this working then. So what we want to do, we just want to loop for the number of seats they booked. So let's say here, let's call it maybe seat. Yeah, I guess seat is okay. Right, this will start at 1, and then we'll just go to the number of seats to book. And I think honestly these variable names, they're quite similar, so it's getting a little bit confusing. Maybe you could call it, current booking or current purchase, or I don't know, yeah, current seat purchase. Who knows? Right, anyway, let's say here, well then let's just go next, and we'll go next seat. So I think here I'm just going to make a variable, okay, because otherwise it's going to get quite confusing. Let's say row, and let's also say column, and right, these will both be of type integer. Now, basically, we just want to do those calculations. So we said the row is going to be, this is going to be div, because again, if we want seat 10, well, that basically means it has to be in row 3, right? Because yeah, 2. In this case, if we're using, in this case we're using 20 columns. So I guess here, if we want like seat 45, well, that means it's going to be in kind of row 3 and column 5 basically. Right. So what we want, this is going to be the this is the number of seats booked. Alright, but then we also want to go plus the seat num, because for example, if say 45 seats have already been booked, right, then this means the seat we want to book is going to be this one. And honestly, let's actually make another variable. Let's call it maybe seat num, and yeah, seat num is just going to be the num seats booked, and then I guess plus the seat. Right, and then so let's say here this is going to be seat num, and then right, we're going to divide it by the number of columns, okay, and then if here we just remember this one we want -1, this one we want +1, And then the column, I mean, we can just copy the same thing. Right, so here it's going to be column, right, then it's going to be mod, and again, just, yeah, the -1 +1. And I think that should be okay. And then what we can do, let's go evening, right, then we'll just go row, we'll then say column, and yeah, let's just set this to true. All right, and then let's also check the mark scheme, see if there's anything else we need to do. Yeah, just output the row number and seat number for each seat booked. So let's just say output, and we'll just go booked, yeah, booked seat, and then I don't know, yeah, let's say row equals, and then this is going to be row, right, and then let's say column equals, and we'll just say column. And then I think what we then want to do, right, we have to remember to increment the number of seats booked. Now, if we increment the number of seats booked in here, well, then if we then plus the seat again, it's going to give us the wrong seat number. Because, for example, let's say the number of seats booked was 45. Right, well, then if we plus 1 for this seat, the number of seats booked is going to be 46. Okay, but then on the next time round, well, the seat number now is going to be 2. Right, so now we're going to have 46 plus 2, which is going to go to 48, which means, yeah, it's not going to book 47. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to increment this at the end. So let's go num seats booked, that's going to be num seats booked, and then plus the number, yeah, number of seats to book. Alright, so I think that should be fine. And yeah, I mean, was there anything else we need to do? Alright, I mean, so I think hopefully that's okay. Let's just test it, see if it works, right, see if there's any errors. Can't declare row because we've already declared something called row. Right, okay, I mean, I think it's just saying because we've used it here for the for variable. I mean, honestly, this is just a bug with the website. Okay, I'll try and fix that. Yeah, I'm not sure why it says that, to be honest. I mean, let's say, yeah, I mean, like seat row and I guess seat column. Yeah, this is a little bit annoying. And then here, this is going to be seat column. And then right, this one and this one. Okay, right, let's try it again. Right, okay, let's say we want to make a booking and we want to book 4 seats. And yeah, okay, this seems to work. Okay, it says book seat row 1, column 5. And then let's say we want to make another booking. All right, let's go another 4. Yeah, that seems to work. All right, let's go another 1, another 4. Right, another 1, another 4. Let's try one more. Then we'll just exit. And I mean, let's check that's worked. Okay, so here it gets to 20. And yeah, okay, so now it goes to row 2, column 1, and yeah, I guess, you know, so on. All right, so yeah, that seems to be working. Now, I mean, if you wanted, I mean, you know, it's not in the question, but I guess, I guess it would be possible if you wanted, just to kind of output this nicely. For example, you could use squares to, you know, output which seat has been booked. Maybe use like black squares if it's not been booked, and, you know, green squares if it has been booked or something. I mean, again, you know, that's not for the actual exam question, but just so you can visualize this, you know, for practice. And I think I probably will actually do that. So let me just try this quickly. Let's make another procedure. Let's call it maybe show. Yeah, I know, like show booking. Well, I think I don't have that already. Right, let's go end procedure. Okay, I'm just going to copy this. Okay, right, let's copy this. Right, and then what I'm going to do, I mean, let's just indent it. Let's go declare line. Okay, so this is how we just output things. Right, and then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to set line to an empty string here, and then we're just going to concatenate things to line on this. So let's say line. Right, then this is going to be line and then, well, just a character. Right, now let me actually find some emojis. Right, so I think, okay, let's go square. Right, if I can spell square correctly. Alright, let's use this black one. And yeah, okay, maybe let's change that in a minute. Alright, and then yeah, then I'm just going to use the green square if it has been booked. So I think, right, this one should be if it has been booked, and then yeah, this one is if it's not been booked. Okay, and then what I want to do, I just want to go, yeah, we've got the end if. Right, then I just want to output here. And we're just going to output a line like this, okay, and I mean, hopefully this should work. Now, to be honest, this is going to be huge, so I'm going to make this just a little bit smaller. Let's say we only have 5 rows, and here maybe we've just got, I don't know, like 6 columns, so I just make it small. And then I guess here, there's only going to be 30. Alright, and then I think, yeah, that should be okay. And let's say after they book the seats, well then let's just call and we'll go show bookings. Right, and let's hope this works. Right, so let's say make booking. Let's go 4. And yeah, okay, we see this seems to work. Let's go another one. Right, let's go 2. And I guess, yeah, okay. And then yeah, I guess you can see here, right, we've booked another 2. And remember, right, we did set these 4 seats as booked to start with, because they do say that some seats have been booked, you know, kind of initially. All right, so I think this seems to work. So I think for the question, that's actually like finished. Although I will actually show you 2 other methods that we can use, because I know a lot of people find this mod and div method, you know, quite tricky. Okay, so my other method for how to tackle this problem is just going to be using multiply and subtract. Now, to be honest, I thought this would be simple, but I actually feel this is almost more difficult than the mod and div method, because what we're actually doing, we're kind of just doing mod and div, but you know, doing them using these kind of, you know, base operations. Right, for example, let's say here we want to book this one, number 15. Well, what we can think, we just count, well, you know, the number of rows is 2. So what we would do is we would do something like this. So 15, right? Then we divide basically the rows, which is going to be 2, and then what we say, there's 6 cells on each row, or 6 columns on each row. So for example here, right, this would say, well, this will be 3. Okay, so this will tell us it's going to be cell 3. Now, when we actually want to get the row count, I guess the row count we can go 15. Right, then we want to divide that by, well, the number of cells, or the number of columns per row, which that's going to be 6. And then basically here we just want to round down, right? So if we have like the floor function, you know, this will be 2. Or I guess, yeah, sorry, just using the, I mean, yeah, honestly, here we can just use the div, I guess, to get this, right? So, you know, here we can get the 2. And then we can just do this to actually get the, kind of column. Yeah, I mean, so we'll try and do something like that. Right, so let's say for this column, rather than doing this mod, well, we would then want to do, right, what do we say? This will be the seat num. And, you know, the problem here again, I think we need this weird, like, -1 +1, otherwise it doesn't work. Right, and I did actually do this here in WPS. I mean, for example, this floor, this is basically just the div, or yeah, this will be kind of equivalent to div, I guess. And then, I mean, yeah, this one, we just need this formula here. All right, so honestly, it's a bit confusing, you know, when we have, the one-based arrays. But I mean, let's see if we can actually get this working. All right, it's probably a little tricky. So let's say, for example, the seat number is 15. Well, then what we want to do, I guess we want to, we want to minus, that's going to be seat row, right, and then that's going to be multiplied by the number of columns. All right, so I think here, again, if this is 15, well, 15, then, minus what, 2? And in fact, right, so this seat row actually has to be seat row -1. Because yeah, this will be the rows that we've already filled. Okay, it's not going to be the current row. All right, I mean, well, let's just see if this works. Right, let's say we want to make a booking. Let's say 4 again. That seems okay. Let's go another booking, let's go another 4. And yeah, let's just exit. Right, I mean, so that seems to be okay. Yeah, this one, that's another 4. Right, that's another 4. And yeah, okay, so I mean, I think this seems to work. And let's also try, let's try and actually book completely. Just make sure it gives us the correct error message. And it's kind of annoying, so I can't really scroll down to see when it's given us the error message. But I mean, that should be enough. Right, okay, so yeah, here it says can't book 4, only 2 seats available, right, which, yeah, this seems to make sense. And again, I guess it's just saying the same thing. All right. Yeah, so I think this is working okay. Now let's try the next method. We want to use an if statement, and we want to store the current row. So what I'm thinking here is we're literally just going to use a counter, right? And this will count what column we're on, and then when the column gets to 6, right, then we would just increment the row number and also set the column number back to 1. So let's probably go here. Yeah, I'll just go like current row. Let's say current column. And to be honest, right, I'm actually just going to yeah, all right. I mean, I guess what we can do, yeah, when we go here, right, what we want to say. Okay, so yeah, all right. So I think here then what we can do, we can just set the row and column to be, you know, this value here, right? This row and column, because obviously this is going to be the current row and column that's being booked. So let's say the current column, all right, that can be the column, and then here the current row. Okay, that can just be the row. All right, and I think that should be fine. Let's just try and output that just to check. Let's go current row. Let's output current column. All right, and then this should say, I guess it should say what, row 1 and then column 4. Right, not being declared. Okay, why is that? Right, did I spell that wrong? Okay, I guess, yeah, too many R's. Right. Okay, yeah, so here it says 1 and then, yeah, column 4. Okay, which that seems to be correct. Now, what we would want to do in here, right, let's say, and I guess we can actually change this to just be like seat row or, you know, current. Yeah, maybe let's change this to be current. Oh, let's go current row. This can then be current column. Right, this is going to be current row. That's going to be current column. And then basically what we want to do, we just want to go current column. Right, this will just be equal to current column plus 1. And then we just want to check if this is bigger than the number of columns. So right, if current column is greater than the number of columns, right, then what we want to do, well, we want to increment the current row. Right, and then we just want to set the current column back to 1. And I mean, hopefully this should work. Right, because I mean, well, I mean, this is my logic. Whether it works or not, I don't know. No, I can't undo again. Because again, you know, if we've got 6 seats that are booked, well, when it tries to book seat 7, you know, we're doing this current column plus 1, but then it will say, well, 7 is bigger than, you know, the 6 columns available. So then what's going to happen is, well, the row number is then going to increment by 1, so it's going to go to row number 2, and then it's going to go back to column number 1. All right, so, you know, row 2, column 1. And then, yeah, the next time it's just going to increment again. So, well, row 2, column 2, right, row 2, column 3. All right, so let's again try this, see if it works. Booking, let's go 4 seats. Yeah, that seems to work. Let's go another booking, another 4 seats, another one. And let's try and have 2 at the end. So we'll keep trying 4. All right, that should be enough. And then here, if we just go 2, and then hopefully that should also say house full. Yeah, so this seems to work. Um, oh, okay. So I guess I booked those two, and then I never actually tried to book again. Let's just try and run it one more time quickly. Right, I mean, that should be enough. Let's go 2, and then let's try and book 4, and then we'll just exit. And yeah, here, okay, it says house full. Right, now probably that video's gone on quite a long time, and I would say this is probably, I mean, one of the most complex 15 markers I've seen. You know, definitely in terms of, yeah, this part here, you know, calculating the row, calculating the column. I mean, hopefully that makes sense, but if anyone has any questions, again, you know, just ask in the comments or ask on Discord, and yeah, I guess either me or someone else will try to answer them. Right, so I realised I was a bit unorganised and I did actually forget to comment my code. Now, obviously in the exam you will need to comment your code, so what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to give some comments, yeah, just to show, you know, what maybe sort of suitable comments could be. So let's say here maybe, yeah, you know, I don't know, like declaring total number of seats. And I mean, really, you know, if you're using good variable names, I mean, this should kind of, you know, explain it. You shouldn't really need to comment, but yeah, Cambridge, they, you know, they want you to. Total number of seats. Right, of seats in theatre. I guess this one we can just say, yeah, declaring integer variables. But I mean, honestly, hopefully this should be fairly, you know, explanatory. Right, I mean, this one is a bit more complex. So let's say this will be, yeah, let's say calculating, right, number of seats already booked. Let's say and the current, and I mean, obviously, right, if you're using the div and mod method, right, you wouldn't need to calculate this current row, current column. But yeah, since here we're not, okay, let's just comment this as well. And or let's say and current row slash column, right, of sort of, yeah, most recent booking. I mean, I think this is fine. Like here we could just say check if seat has been booked. Right, so here, let's say for this repeat until, we'll just say show user menu, show menu until user chooses like 2, and let's just say exit in brackets. Right, okay, so menu choice 1, that's going to be, let's say make booking, menu choice. Well, let's just say 1 equals make booking. Alright, I think that's fine. And then I think this one, right, let's say for this we can just say, yeah, get, well, let's say get and validate the number of seats to book. And let's just say, you know, 1 to 4 like this. Right, and then this one we're just checking if, yeah, I guess what, if booking has less, yeah, I know, like if, right, maybe if number of seats to book is less than the seats available, or yeah, okay, all right, let's say if all of the seats to book are available. I mean, as you can see, honestly, sometimes it's difficult thinking, you know, how to actually explain this, you know, just with sort of, you know, a few words. Right, I guess if they are available, let's just say loop through, or we can just say, you know, make each booking. Yeah, make each booking. This one we can, and again, you know, if you're using the div mod method, obviously you wouldn't have this stuff here. But yeah, since I do, well, let's say, I don't know, if, yeah, maybe if seat should be new row, or should be next row. I mean, I think that's fine. I mean, I guess here we could just say set and output booking details. Right, output booking details. Here we'll just say, I don't know, I mean, well, let's just say like increment the number of seats already booked. Right, and then let's say here, right, if I don't know, yeah, like if theatre already full, and I guess this else, well, this will be, you know, else if, or yeah, else, I guess we'll just say if, right, if bookings, yeah, I know, we'll take the number over the seats available. Alright, and then I mean, well, this show bookings we don't need to comment because again, this is just to help us visualize, right? I mean, well, obviously in the exam you wouldn't include this. Right, guys, so again, I mean, hopefully that video was helpful. I realize it's a bit all over the place, but you know, again, I mean, these questions are quite tricky, and this was probably, you know, one of the most difficult ones. Alright, so hopefully the next videos will be a little bit more clear, you know, easier questions, and yeah, hopefully more useful. Alright, so yeah, hope to see you next time.